Good morning, guys. Mr. Middleton here. Today we're solving equations number 2 for fourth lesson of the first unit of algebra. After this video, you should be able to solve equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. And you should be able to identify equations with no solutions, infinitely many solutions, and tell the difference between the two. In the last lesson, we learned how to solve equations with a variable on only one side of the equal sign. What happens when there is a variable on both sides? Okay, well, let's find out. Let's go through this problem. We have 7 minus 6x equals 5x plus 29. I want to solve for x. It means I want to get x by itself. Before I need to get x by itself, I need to get the x's together. So I'm going to add 6x to both sides. 7 equals 11x plus 29. Okay? So I got all the x's on one side. Now I want to get it by itself. I'm going to subtract 29 from both sides. Move my work up here. So now I have negative 22 equals 11x. And to get x all the way by itself, I'm going to divide by 11. Okay. So now I divide by 11, I get x equals negative 2. Notice how we are basically doing the same thing we did last lesson, except we aren't just moving numbers, we are also moving variables. So here's a tip. If moving a whole term, like we did here with moving 29, you subtract or add. If you're splitting up a term, like 11x, we need to get rid of the 11, use multiplication or division. Okay, so let's go through some problems and see how much it really hasn't changed. So first problem, we have 6x minus 5 equals x plus 15. Okay, so I am going to subtract x from both sides, get my x's together. 5x minus 5 equals 15. Alright, now I need to get the x's by themselves. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So 5x equals 20. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Divide this plus 5 here. Okay, then I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and I get x equals 20 divided by 5 is 4. Number 2. Okay, we have some distribution here. So 4x minus 24 equals 3x plus 3. So I get x equals, subtract 3x from both sides. Change that. So I have x minus 24 equals 3. I'm going to add 24 to both sides. And x will equal 27. Okay, not bad. Stay with me for this last problem, and then for number 3, and then I want you to try number 4 on your own if you can, if you feel up to it. Number 3 is a proportion. Okay, hopefully you guys remember this, but with proportions we solve it by cross multiplying. Okay, that's kind of the shortcut way. You can think of it as another way of getting rid of the fractions on each side. I want to get rid of this fraction. X minus 1 is being divided by 9. First, let me remind you that because we have addition and subtraction in the numerator of a fraction, there's understood parentheses here. Okay, so we can multiply first. I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. Okay. When I multiply this side by 9, what happens is we cancel out the 9s. Okay, so on this left side, I'm left with x minus 1 equals 9 times x minus 4 over 6. I want to get rid of this fraction as well, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. Okay, and so it cancels out on this side, and this side I'm left with a 6. So what my problem looks like now is 6 x minus 1 equals 9 x minus 4. So 6x minus 6 equals 9x minus 36. And that will give me negative 6 equals 3x minus 36. Okay, I'm going to add 36 to both sides in order for me to have my x's by themselves. So I have 30 equals 3x. And then divide by 3 to get x all the way by itself. And that means x will be 10. Alright, number 4. We have 3x. And then I've got to distribute. Remember when you're distributing to include this negative sign. So minus 4x minus 8 equals 5x plus 12. Now, I know I have x's on both sides of the equation, but before I try to move them all to one side, I need to make sure that they're together on their side. So I have 3x minus 4x, that gives me negative x. Okay, or negative 1x. Minus 8 equals 5x plus 12. Okay, now I will add the x's to both sides. I always like to keep my variable positive if possible. So I'm going to add the x to both sides. I will get negative 8 equals 6x plus 12. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. And so now I get 6x equals negative 20. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 6. And so I have x equals negative 20 over 6. Divide that by 2, I get negative 10 over 3. And that's as simple as I can get. So x equals negative 10 over 3. Always try to simplify your fraction. Alright, to the back side, let's look at some different types of problems. Okay, so a real world example. Everything Plumbing charges $46 for a service call in addition to $18.50 per hour for labor. Plumbing Experts has no charge for a service call but charges $30 per hour for labor. For what number of hours would both companies cost the same? So here we go. We have Everything Plumbing and we have Plumbing Experts. We want to write their equations and we want to know when they cost the same. So Everything Plumbing, they cost $46 just to show up. But when they do show up, it's $18.50 an hour. Plumbing Experts, they don't charge to show up, but they do charge $30 per hour for labor charge. So here's our equation. 46 plus 1850h equals 30h. Alright, so with that equation set, h 30h. With that equation set, let's solve for it. So first things first, I need to get my variables to the same side. So I'm going to subtract 1850h from both sides. And that will give me 11.5h. And on the left side, I will have 46. So 46 equals 11.5. Help myself out. Get a calculator up. And so I'm going to divide both sides by 11.5. So 46 divided by 11.5 is 4. After 4 hours, then the companies cost the same. Okay. So before 4 hours means you should probably choose plumbing experts, and after 4 hours you should choose expert everything plumbing. But I guess you wouldn't know that. How much would it cost for that number of hours? So let's see. If we want to know how much it costs for that number of hours, then we can plug it in. I think the right side is easier to plug it into. So 30 times 4, and that should be $120. Which company would you choose if you had to take 6 hours? Okay, so remember that up to this point they're not equal. Company EP, Everything Plumbing, costs a lot more up front. But because they only charge $18.50 per hour, as you go, the longer you go, I guess the better deal it becomes. These guys don't charge very much up front. So if it's a short deal, like an hour job, you're saving a bunch of money than what they charge just to show up. So anything more than 6 hours, you should choose Everything Plumbing. Okay, and this is why it's important that you label your equations and you know what you're talking about, so that I don't have to read the problem a whole lot anymore. I said EP stands for Everything Plumbing to me, PE stands for Plumbing Experts, and I could tell the difference between the two just by looking at my equation. So you should do the same. Make sure you do that. If you want to see that differently, you could say, okay, 30 times 6 here, and you could say 46 plus 1850 times 6, and see what comes out. I guess on this side would be 180. This side's a little bit harder, but not impossible. So 18.5 times 6 plus 46. This side would be $157. Okay, so again, Everything Plumbing is the best. Okay, so that's variables on both sides. Let's look at some special cases. Try these problems and see what happens. So if you try this, you should get distribute 6x minus 8 equals 6x plus 10. Your next step should be to subtract 6x from both sides. You get negative 8 equals 10. Okay, the variables, if you notice, cancel out. Cancel each other out. We say this equation has no solutions since the remaining numbers are not equal. Or different, we can say, either way. Okay, I have negative 8 on one side and have 10 on the other. Does negative 8 equal 10? Will negative 8 ever equal 10? No. Let's try this next example. I'm going to distribute this. So I have x plus 3x minus 6 equals 4x minus 6. So that's 4x minus 6 equals 4x minus 6. Okay, hopefully you can see it here, but I'll continue it. 4x minus 6 equals 4x minus 6. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. And then I get negative 6 equals negative 6. Is there any more variables left? Okay, you notice again, the variables cancel out. We say this has infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. Since the remaining numbers are the same or equal. Negative 6 does equal negative 6. That means it will work no matter what numbers we pick. So no solutions won't work no matter what number we put in. Infinitely many solutions will work no matter what number we put in. Okay? So looking at this practice at the bottom, it says circle the equations that have no solutions. Underline the equations that have infinitely many solutions. Okay, so no solutions, again, remember that it means they don't equal each other. Subtract 7x from both sides. You have negative 1 equals 1. Is that true? No, that's no solution. So circle the ones with no solution. 10x plus 7 equals 3x plus 7. That means that we will subtract 3x from both sides. 7x plus 7 equals 7. Subtract 7 from both sides. 7x equals 0. Divide by 7. X equals 0. Can x equal 0? Yes. X can equal 0. For some reason, when we talk about no solutions and infinitely many solutions, people want to say that x can equal 0. It can. 0 is a number. It works. It's fine. All right. See, we got cross multiply. We get 4x minus 6 equals 4x minus 24. Subtract 4x from both sides. Negative 6 equals negative 24. Does that equal? No. That is no solution. Try it on this right side. 3x and 2x. That's 5x plus 4. 4x plus 4. Plus x. That's 5x plus 4. And so here, we don't have to even cancel things out. We see that these are the same thing. 5x plus 4 equals 5x plus 4. It's the same thing. So this is infinitely many solutions. I'll just go ahead and underline that. Okay. Why is B not a special case? Again, we can have a variable equal 0. That is fine. That is not special. Okay. So hopefully you are able to see the difference between special cases. You are able to solve equations with variables on both sides. See ya.